It is a convening of the Massachusetts Gaming Commission today. Today is January 15th, 2026. It's approximately 9:34 a.m. It's meeting number 578. I'm Jordan Maynard. I serve as chair. We're hosting this meeting virtually, so we will do a roll call. Good morning, Commissioner O'Brien.
Good morning. I am here.
Good morning, Commissioner Hill.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning, Commissioner Broder.
Good morning, I am here.
And good morning, Commissioner Skinner. Oh, I went opposite order. I'm
You did indeed.
sorry.
It threw me off.
You threw me off too. I was all ready.
Good morning, Commissioner Skinner. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Commissioner Broder. And that was a habit from last week that I carried over. I'm sorry. All right. With that, I believe we're going to turn it to Secretary Broder to go over the December 4th meeting minutes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman and my fellow commissioners. I move that the commission approve the minutes from the December 4th, 2025 public meeting as found in the commissioner's packet, subject to any necessary corrections for typographical errors or other non-material matters.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner,
Aye.
and Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
And I vote yes, 5-0. Thank you, Commissioner Broder. Thank you to the team you work with, especially legal, for getting those ready. All right, now we had added an administrative update with ED Serpa, though it looks like we may have done that prematurely. But with that said, I'm going to kick it to him anyways. Good morning, ED Serpa.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. No, absolutely. We have one quick update for today. Thank you very much, and good morning, commissioners. I thought I would take a moment this morning to welcome back the full group for our first full public meeting and wish everybody a happy and productive new year. And we're looking forward to accomplishing a lot in the coming months. But for today, I just wanted to mention that on Monday, we do have a good group of staff and managers, a nice sized group going to the city's Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Breakfast, which we typically are involved with and sponsor. And I'm going with the group, and I'm looking forward to what is always it's a fun, thoughtful, and spirited event. It's an important one for the commission, and we have that on the calendar for next Monday, and I'll report back for the team after the event. And that is the executive update, Mr. Chair.
Well, thank you, ED Serpa, and thank you for reminding us of that event. We enjoy going every year. We get a new purple wristband every year that we get to wear throughout the month, and so we look forward to it. All right. Anything else, commissioners? Anything else, ED Serpa?
Not for me, no.
All right. With that, we're going to go to item number 4. We're going to talk about Rainham Park, and we're going to kick it over to Councilor Stempik and Dr. Leipow. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you for the introduction. We're going to discuss the recent news in reaction to the temporary closure of Rainham Park. I will turn it over to Director Lightbound to explain sort of the on-the-ground workings, and then after she goes through that, I will discuss what our recommended next steps would be from a sort of legal regulatory perspective. So I'll turn it over to Alex right now, though. Thank you.
Thank you. So shortly after Christmas, we learned that Rainham was going to do a temporary closure. Sue Rodriguez, the Vice President of Operations, wanted to make it clear that they wanted to know from the Mass Gaming Commission what they needed to do to keep their license. They're not looking to turn their license in at this point. They're looking for guidance from the commission on what the commission would be looking for from them to keep the license during a temporary closure. Rainham met with their employees that week and with their HR department, going over things like unemployment and healthcare. We were concerned at the commission level, obviously, about the employees losing their jobs. And ED Dean Serpa was able to reach out to the rapid response of Mass Hired, the Department of Career Services, and got contact information And we passed that on to Rainham, and Rainham has met with them, and they've offered their help as far as anything support for the Rainham employees. They had 3 days where they posted on their website that they were open to cash tickets and have allow for people to get their money out of their ADW accounts. Those were the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, January 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. They did it again on January 9th, the Friday. Now on their website, they have it posted that there a phone number that folks can call if they have a ticket or account wagering account they want to get their money out of. They can call that number and arrange for an appointment to come in and get that money out. When they stopped simulcasting at Rainham, that also closed down their dial to bet ADW. So they're not doing ADW or simulcasting at this point. Obviously, you know, first concerns employees, then the patrons, as far as making sure that they would be able to get their tickets cashed and any money out of their account wagering accounts. And then the next bucket we're kind of looking at is making sure that the monies due to the Commonwealth, the MGC, get paid. And so along those lines, Chad Bork, our financial analyst, has been working with Rainham as far as them paying the monthly billing. And we don't anticipate an issue with that. I think those are the main items I have. Obviously, we're having ongoing discussions with them and keeping everybody in the loop on what's going on down there. And I'll turn it over to Justin now to go over some of the legal issues and some of the points that we thought would be important going forward.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, Alex touched on this, commissioners, but you may recall Rainham is uniquely situated as one of our racing licensees, and that their license is a legislative act each year. They're not licensed directly by the commission, but by the legislature. That most recently happened this past December, where their license was extended for 2 years until December 2027. So this temporary cessation of license remains active. It's still a valid license. We, of course, are their regulator, and that is clear. There's a memo in the packet today that just sort of outlines the licensing history of Rainham Park, as well as our regulatory authority over them when it comes to essentially their entire operations, from simulcasting, ADW, et cetera. So there's no real question there. The question in this particular instance is how does the commission best want to handle a temporary closure, and what do we want to know? And Alex laid it out nicely in those sort of 3 buckets in terms of making sure employees are taken care of, making sure patrons are taken care of, making sure the Commonwealth is made whole if there's any ongoing issues there. So we laid out, Alex and I, in the memorandum, a couple bullet points in the 3rd subsection to send a letter. Our recommendation would be to send a letter to Rainham. Rainham has already addressed some of these too. Let me just pause for a moment and note that it's not like Rainham has been sitting idly by. They have been actively working with us, working with Alex to account for many of these items. I think it would just be good to document what they've done. So our recommendation would be to have Executive Director Serpa send a letter requiring and requesting that they send us a written temporary cessation plan and addressing the specific items that we call out, and that we give them, you know, however much time we think is appropriate, 2 or 3 weeks or something, to send that back to us. And just by way of a brief overview, we would ask that they address procedures for settlement of any outstanding wagers, which Alex touched on, procedures for distribution of funds in the ADW accounts, closure of ADW accounts, closure of the physical operations of the physical plant. We just want to make sure that we know when and if they're going to be open, just so we can be aware of what's happening at Rainham, that we know how they're going to settle any outstanding debts or financial obligations, and addressing any unclaimed tickets. As you may recall, our unclaimed tickets are actually valid until the following year. So we would have to look at any tickets from 2025 have until the end of 2026 to be cashed. So we want to make sure we have a process to handle that. And then finally, would be we would ask them to provide us with a proposed plan for reopening. So in the event that they are able to reopen, we would just want to make sure we have advance notice of that, so we can make sure that the tote machines are up and running and have been tested, that they have the appropriate certificates from the Board of Health for any food service down in Raynham, et cetera, just so that we know in advance and we can give them the green light when they're ready to reopen. So all that's outlined in the memorandum. And so Alex and I are now available. So if there's anything the commission thinks they want to add to this letter or that we should subtract, we're all ears and we can make any modifications. And then hopefully we would get that letter sent out in the next day or so. But if there's any questions or concerns, we're both here. Or if there's anything you think we should add to that bullet point list, please let us know.
Thank you, Councilor Stimpick. I see Commissioner Broder's mute is off, so I'll kick it to him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mostly want to compliment the staff led by Justin and Alex in being on top of this and developing in fairly short order a comprehensive plan. The only things that I think of that maybe aren't covered are, and these are very minor points. I pulled up the website while we were chatting, and welcome to Raynham Park, really big. We're closed temporarily, a little bit smaller. It might be better for patrons that are coming in trying to figure out what's going on and how they can get paid to make that a little bit easier to find. The other thing I would ask, even though it's not technically our responsibility, but from my past experiences, making sure that they are in communication with the city of Taunton about their activities so that they know that they are, that they are going to be temporarily shutting down. As I know, particularly the Board of Health would be interested, and presumably, with the food piece, they get at least some, I would guess, municipal tax revenue off that, and they would want to know that is a revenue stream that they can no longer rely on, at least in the short term.
Thank you, Commissioner Broder. Commissioner Skinner, I see your mute is on.
Yeah, I would broaden Commissioner Broder's point of communication to the state, just to ensure that all of the obligations in this kind of cessation that are owed and due to the state and patrons in that regard are met. And I know our piece of this is limited in scope, but I do think that particularly when we're talking about a reopening plan at some point, if we get there, that we're assured that they have met all of their Commonwealth obligations.
Thank you, Commissioner Skinner. Anything else, commissioners, as far as leading the way? I'll just say, as the gaming landscape changes, we appreciate the history of Raynham Park, what the place has meant to the patrons and the people of Bristol County. Birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, we've toured the properties and heard the history of the property. And so we wish the best for the property. I will reiterate that, and I think Dr. Lightbound and Justin said it better than I ever can. The real aim here from the MGC's perspective is to protect the patrons, protect the employees of Raynham Park, and to make sure, as Commissioner Skinner just said, that the Commonwealth gets anything that it's owed as far as obligations go. So we wish the best. We're monitoring it. We're on top of it. We have the best team making sure that everything's taken care of. And so with that, we will make sure that we keep the public updated as events move forward. All right. Anything else on this matter?
Nope, that's it. Thank you, Chair. I'll work with Dean to get that letter out in probably the next day or so.
Thank you. All right. With that, I believe we're going to kick it over to Chief Teresi of the Sports Wagering Division. Good morning, Carrie.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. So you'll recall that Commissioner Hill had asked the Sports Wagering Division to review the sports wagering operator quarterly report presentations and propose some alternatives. You had all discussed this last fall. Commissioner Skinner was not able to participate at the time, so you asked that we discuss with Commissioner Skinner and come back with a proposal. So in your packet, you have two options for modified presentations. One maintains the quarterly cadence and one shifts to a triannual cadence. Each of those options lays out which topics would be included at each presentation, so that topics are sort of spread out over the course of the year, and you're not seeing an identical presentation each time. I do also just want to note, of course, that we can modify these at any time if there's something in particular that the commission is interested in hearing about, and we can also always bring operators in for sort of one-off presentations on particular topics at any time as well. So with that, I would look to you all for guidance on where you would like us to go from here.
All right. I'm looking at a couple of commissioners. I know that Commissioner Hill initially brought the topic up. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and through you to Carrie. So yes, I did bring this up because we were seeing these reports every 3 months, and they were all becoming kind of similar in the way that they were being presented, and the information that we were getting from each operator was almost the same from what we saw 3 months before. Because 3 months is not a lot of time to see a difference in numbers of employment and things of that sort. So I thought we would just at least discuss possibly changing up the way we do the reports. And I had suggested that you do it 3 times instead of 4 times, and that we change up the subject matters so that when we were watching these, and I've been trying to think of a nice way to say this, and I haven't been able to find one yet, so I'll just say it. They were getting stale. And when they become stale, sometimes you lose concentration when they're being given. And I don't think our operators deserve that, because they put a lot of work and a lot of information into these reports. So sitting down with Carrie and others within the sports wagering, we had looking at doing this 3 times a year and changing up the subject matters. And Carrie put into your packet what that would look like if we went to a 3 times a year plan. And I like what she's put together, knowing full well that if there's a subject matter that any of us want on any of these reports, we can always ask to have it put on for the next report. So I would suggest to my fellow commissioners that we at least try, because we can always come back to 4 times a year if we don't like what we're seeing, that we try doing this every 3 times a year instead of 4, and changing up the subject matters per meeting, so that we're more interested in the reports when they come before us.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. I will tell you that I had to Google and look up the difference between triannual and triennial, which there is a difference. One is a meeting every 3 years, one is 3 meetings a year. Commissioners, Commissioner O'Brien.
So I'm, no pun intended, I am game to try switching to 3 times a year. Something else that I've talked with Carrie about, and I want to raise for public consumption with the 5 of us, is the idea of one of the areas I'm particularly interested in, I think we all are, is underage access. A lot of that may very well require executive session. And so we've had a couple of these, right, where we've had to toggle kind of in and out on that, just that topic, in and out of private session into executive session. I want to consider that more in terms of whether sometimes we want to do maybe a 6-month just dedicated to that topic. Maybe we ask for pointed stats, that sort of thing, because we're still, of course, getting these disconnects, right? You do the surveys that say you've got this disproportionate number of 18 to 20-year-olds who are doing it, and then the stats that we get from them are different. So we got to figure out why that is. And a little bit beyond the topic today, but just in moving in this direction, I would say start with the 3. Keep in mind, maybe there's some other ways to, as Commissioner Hill said, we don't want it to be stale. We don't want to ask them to do what would be busy work for them. And we also want to give everyone our full attention. And right now, the current structure, by the time you get to the last presenter, I do sometimes feel like they're not getting the full attention that I would give to the first presenter. So I am up for making the change that Commissioner Hill recommended.
That's usually PPC usually goes last, and it's usually our friends from Toronto. So, and they're usually brief. Commissioner Skinner.
So I just want to thank this body for deferring the decision on the discussion until I was able to weigh in, and I did that. And Carrie has incorporated my feedback in the 2 options that are presented. I'm totally okay with going with option 2, the 3 presentations per year, and not opposed to Commissioner O'Brien's recommendation regarding the underage numbers and the executive session.
Yeah, and I think Chief Teresi's also has some work she's doing on those matters too, correct? Okay. I'm all good. Commissioner Broder, what are you thinking?
All good.
As always, if we see a problem, we're going to haul them in and have a conversation with them and ask them what's going on, which we've never been afraid to do. This is just to clean it up, and keep in mind too, the initial commission, when there was 3 properties and only brick and mortar and no sports wagering under the MGC, was doing quarterlies, but we've added a lot of operators over the last 3 years. And so we want to make sure that we're getting the information we need on the regular, and then anything else we need, we get it. So I'm good with it. Any formal vote, or that was just a recommendation, right?
Mr. Chairman, just a quick thank you to Carrie and her staff for bringing this discussion forward, and to my fellow commissioners for your consideration. Thank you.
Great, thank you all. Well, we will communicate this to operators, and we would look towards May for the first in the triannual cadence.
And I meant Penn National Gaming. You knew that, Carrie. I was tying them to their brick and mortar property.
Of course. Yeah.
But that's who always goes last. All right. My brain sometimes lags behind, but right now it's firing. Anything else?
That's all from me. Thank you.
All right. With that, I know our next matter goes to legal, but I'm going to ask Justin if we can go ahead before we meet. We meet on the litigation strategy issue and take up 7 and 8, and then actually close the meeting out of 6.
Yep, makes a lot of sense.
All right. Commissioners, do we have any commissioner updates? All right. Do we have any other business that we didn't reasonably anticipate? All right. So let me read some language in, and we'll decide whether we want to go into executive session. The commission anticipates that it will convene in an executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, in conjunction with its review of litigation strategy with respect to Robinhood Derivatives LLC versus Campbell et al., as discussion at an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigation position of the commission. Would we like to enter for that purpose?
I move that we go into executive session on the matter and for the reasons just stated by the chair.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Brien.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Skinner.
Aye.
Commissioner Broder.
Yes.
And I vote yes, 5-0. To the public, we will not reconvene in this session. Hope everyone has a great Thursday. Thank you so much.